Yesterday, we heard part one of the remarkable story of Nate Lytle. At 23 years old, he fell off a ladder and sustained a life-threatening head injury. His parents were told their son would never walk, talk, or communicate. But he defied the odds, and Nate now says, falling and almost dying was the best thing that ever happened to me. Here with us again is Nate Lytle. Tell us why you say falling was the best thing that ever happened to you.
For me, Maggie, I didn't just fall physically. I ended up falling in love, actually. One of the nurses that took care of me the second week of the coma, actually, she took the staples into my head.
Yep.
When I woke up from the coma in Houston, I told my folks about this girl with these bright eyes and really nice teeth. I don't know why I remembered that. I see her at a benefit a couple of weeks later, and I remember this is the girl, that took care of me, from the coma.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting married about a year later.
So we're going to come back to that amazing story.
Awesome.
Jumped ahead a little, but just to recap for maybe some people who didn't see the interview yesterday, tell us about that day, June 4th, 97.
June 4th, 2007. Like I said, I thought it was kind of like a normal day at work, and ended up falling off a 10-foot ladder, shattered my wrist and my skull, which nobody knew that I had a brain injury when I hit my head. So my dad took me in to the hospital because he saw my shattered wrist. It turns out I had a cap on at work, so it was a concealed brain injury. And they see a CAT scan that shows that I have a traumatic brain injury with a midline shift and had less than 10 minutes to live.
Wow, and we have a picture of a cast of your skull. I mean, the hole is just huge. I mean, they said it was the size of a softball. Yeah. And so you don't remember anything. You don't remember anything from the coma at all, do you?
Not a whole lot. Most people don't have a lot of memory from their coma.
Yeah.
I actually do have several kind of recollections. And one of the things was like my nephew, I remember seeing him. I remember seeing this girl, Brianna, with the teeth in the eyes, and that's kind of pretty much it. Every couple times I would open my eyes and see small things, but I thought it was a dream, basically, so. And
while you're in this coma in Victoria, Texas, your community has surrounded your parents. They've kind of overtaken the hospital waiting room. They're praying for you, day and night. Your surfer friends are online on El Ride, which is this message board for surfers, and they've taken it over with PFN, Pray for Nate. All of this is happening around you, and God is just taking over. I mean, there's stories in the book of your mom, Tammy, ministering to people in the waiting room who also had family members in the hospital as well. When you hear about all those stories of how God was just moving throughout all of this, what do you think?
I think about the Great Commission is what I think about a lot, and I say that because I knew when I woke up that obviously my friends and especially my family would be there, and just you know they're going to be there for you, and having that support system was just so awesome. But you never know the impact you're really making on people's lives, and when I think about the surf scene, it can be kind of a rough, rowdy crowd, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I didn't think it would be the way it was when I woke up, and I see the PFN message board, the book that we printed out of all these guys saying pray for Nate. It was all worth it, to see that this is the Great Commission. This is making disciples for all nations. The surf scene can be its own little culture, Sometimes it's a tough way to get in, to speak truth in people's hearts and lives, and it just made I think it really made people really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And
for you, I mean, from the time you were young, ministry has really been your heart and soul. You've always been witnessing, and even being a surfer, always looking for opportunities to witness to your friends. And what I found great, there's a quote from your online journal that you had been keeping before the accident, and I think it was like 2 weeks before your mom finds. So your mom, during the coma, while you're in the coma, she goes home to find some pictures and stuff to bring to the hospital, so that, because they say, if you wake up, at least you'll have familiar pictures and things that you'll see. And so she finds parts of your online journal in this folder, and she reads this, and she's just blown away, and she doesn't know that you wrote it until I think your friend who was there says that, do you realize your son wrote this? And you write, I want to seek and praise you. And this is literally 2 weeks before the accident. I want to seek and praise you not only in the good times, for any of us can do this. I want to seek and praise you when thrown through the valley, to look at each roadblock as a challenge and an encouragement instead of a discouragement. When you place roadblocks in front of me and I turn to you, conquer them. The glory and praise is brought to you alone. Could I maintain this attitude while in the valley? I believe you will give us the strength and courage to do this. So you didn't know that you were about to enter into the valley. Those are prophetic words that you had written.
No, I had no idea. I had no idea what was about to happen to me. I had that great opportunity to go plant this church in Florida. I thought, but I was still kind of tore up if I should go to Florida or if I should stay. I knew that God could use me no matter where I was going to be at. But I had no idea, like I said, that a brain injury that I was going to fall and almost die. I had no idea. I couldn't never have planned that. But when I go back through that journal, I think it's awesome to see that God's provision in the whole thing. From whether that was medical bills, friends, family, just coming by to say, hey, look, we're praying for you. Yeah. God is so many steps ahead of us. I think sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and take on our own kind of actions, and that's where we get in trouble. So you end up being moved to TIR, which is a rehabilitation kind of facility, and there you start to slowly wake up out of what you call kind of the fog, your coma. And there are some times when you kind of did things that were not Nate-like. You weren't Jesus-like all the time, right? Yeah.
And it was really just, you thought you were living in this dream world, right?
Yes, Maggie, it's weird that the coma, all that area. I mean, people think about a coma as, oh, the guy's just sleeping for 6 weeks. No movement, nothing. There's stages of a coma. I didn't know anything about a coma and that stuff until it happened to me. Well, those stages of a coma, like the last week where I actually woke up. You're trying to differentiate if this is real life or if this is really happening. So I thought I was in a bad dream, locked into this dream world, you could call.
Yeah.
So I started doing things, you could say, that would not the nicest things, And so I was trying to wake myself up. So I was trying to break glass. I was trying to throw stuff down the hallways, because I was kind of walking a little bit with assistance, and the words I was saying probably were not very nice. And when I finally wake up, the therapists and doctors, they explained to me that this is really common. That last week of the coma, that's called the anger stage. But my family and my friends, they were like, "That's not Nate. He doesn't do that kind of stuff." So it's weird.
Yeah. And at that same time, your community throws a big rally for you and raises a whole bunch of money to help your family, over $60,000 to help with medical bills. I mean, God just showed up in so many different ways, and it's just amazing as I read through your book. But what I find amazing is that you have no anger towards God. You're not like throwing up your fist saying, I was serving you all the time, and I was doing this, and I was faithful, and you put me through this. You're not mad at God.
No, not at all, and never have been. Not since this whole thing. I mean, there's days like a normal person you get frustrated, but for me, this is what I prayed for. And you go back to that prayer journal. I prayed to be used, whatever that takes to bring glory to Him. And I've had more opportunities to serve people and serve God because of this injury. It really has been the hardest times, but the best times ever. So, you know, you may not always see the fruit until, you know, you go through the valleys, you know. And it may take a bit longer than at other times, but for me, I've seen some of the fruit on earth, and it's been pretty beautiful, you know.
And so you went back to the hospital in Victoria to see those doctors and those nurses that essentially saved your life at the beginning. Those same people that said that you would never walk, talk, or communicate again. And one of the doctors literally started crying when he saw you.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
You're a walking miracle.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I laugh. It's just, you know, I remember when I walked in the hospital for the first time, going back to Victoria and Citizens, and seeing the trauma doctor and the neurosurgeon that saved my life. And, you know, I laugh because, you know, God he broke down all those walls. You know, there's sometimes this medical thing and faith, you know, that blend is not supposed to be there sometimes, you know what I mean? Well, you know, the trauma doctors, the neurosurgeons, the nurses, they said, no, this is the miracle, you know, on paper, this guy shouldn't have lived, you know, this is something bigger than just medicine, you know? So when I walked into the hospital that day to see the doctors, it was crying, it was laughing, it was beautiful. You know. And
you're not just walking, but you're surfing. We have a shot of you surfing once again. I mean, that's amazing. You know, I mean, blown away by the fact that, again, defying all the odds, having to learn how to speak again, to read again, do everything all over again. And then you kind of alluded at the beginning, you kind of gave it away. So this nurse that you had met in Victoria that took care of you, took out your staples, you call your angel, you ended up marrying. Tell us about Brianna. We have a picture of you and Brianna.
Brianna, she's so awesome. She's been, for me, so much of my ongoing encouragement. And you know, this injury, you know, a brain injury, isn't a one-day fix. It's not a Band-Aid, you know. It's something I have to live with every day. And Bree has walked with me, Brianna has walked with me through this whole thing. You know, she saw me at my worst when she took care of me. She didn't know me at all until she was taking the staples out of my head. And I was not the prime candidate for a boyfriend, you know, a relationship, you know, at all. So, you know, I saw someone and I had the time to actually, you know, talk with Brianna after the benefit and stuff like that. And I just asked her, I said, you know, why would you want to be with someone that's so busted up? My life was just kind of falling apart. You know, her life was fine. She just had just gotten out of medical school, one of her first patients, you know, and she just said she saw Jesus, you know. So, I don't know.
Again, so much more to talk about, Nate. I am so grateful that you're here with me today. And again, the book is called More God, Seeing the Blessings Through the Pain. If you want to get a copy of this remarkable book, you can go to our e-store. Again, it's at crossroads.ca, and follow the links, or you can call us at 1-800-265-3100. And Nate, you're signing the first 30 copies of the book, so you definitely want to get your copy as soon as possible. Thanks again, Nate, for sharing your story and just sharing just how God has just used you in so many different ways.
Oh, thank you, Maggie. I appreciate you. I just tell folks all the time, you know, every struggle in life brings an opportunity to serve. So,
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.